Good day. In today's video, I'm doing a botanical wet on wet. I'm starting out my piece just wetting the background so that I have control of the petals. I don't want them to get the paint to run into the petals. So I've wet the paper. I've taped off with just some masking tape just so I can have a neat border, and I will remove that at the end. So I just take the pigment. I'm trying to keep this piece relatively loose. So I'm wet on wet, not getting too much detail in the background. As I've said in many of my tutorials, that I try to work from the back forward. So I try to finish the background of this before I go into the petals, or at least get it as close as I can to the finished product, and then I build on top of. I'm working with phthalo yellow green and sap green and a tiny bit of Payne's gray to give that shadowing. I will, try to get rid of as much of the runoff as I can. Let it dry for a few minutes before I go into the petals. And you kind of wait till the sheen is gone on the paper. You can see how it glistens right there. That's pretty wet on wet. You can see now that it's taken just 5-10 minutes to dry, and then I'll go into my petals, going straight in with cad orange and a little bit of my cream opaque for the first wash. And again, this is kind of just to get the base of the petals. And then I'll come in drier with each level as I go, paying attention to the background, anything that I think needs to be touched up. But for this, I'm just doing a basic wash. And also keep in mind that you don't want to just keep covering up every layer you put down. So I hope to expose some of this wash that I put down initially, so that it shows highlights and so on the petals. So now I'm going to go into the stem. Like I said, I try to get the base background as completed as I can, and then move on. But I have to kind of work around because things dry at different levels, and if I am being impatient and want to keep painting, I just work around the piece as best as possible. So here I'm coming in again with the cad orange and a little bit of alizarin crimson, and that's giving a really nice, adding a little bit of my cad yellow light as well. But that alizarin crimson really helped with that cad orange to bring a little bit of the intensity into the petals. I really like that combination. So then I go into the center with my cad yellow and basically doing like I've done with the other and doing the base wash, working around in the petals again. Now my background is pretty dry for the most part. I noticed that my stem for the flower kind of got washed out, so I had to go lift a little bit in there. And since it got a little lost, I decided to come in with some Payne's gray and my sap green and give a little shadow there. As I often say, grounding the piece. Even in a botanical, you want to ground it with a little bit of a shadow, and that's what I'm doing there. So that where I messed up with my losing my stem in the wash, I brought back to life with a shadow. And now I'm coming in really pretty much straight alizarin crimson and giving some highlights to the petals back into the background as I'm seeing it's needing a little extra work to get the petals to pop on top of the background, and that seems to be working. Going in with that cream on cream just to give a highlight to that center core, and then I will start doing a little bit of like pointillism, just little dots as nature has it with this petal. It has that pointillism look. And going in pretty much straight cad orange. And if you notice, I'm not covering up everything I put down initially. It's all part of the piece, and this isn't just a fill in the blank thing. It's use each layer, even if it's just a minuscule amount. It's important to try to use all the different shades that you put down. And you can see I do have a little bit of water in my paintbrush that's giving me still that fluid look. Going in again, a little bit of pointillism with the cad orange and the alizarin crimson. I'm going to touch up with a tiny bit of Payne's gray in the center again, just for that final touch of the shadow. I don't want to outline the piece. In other words, I don't want the petals to be like a halo around each petal. That's not necessary. And it looks a little more natural when you leave it partially outlined, if you will. There's the Payne's gray. And it was kind of a simple little piece to do, fun. I tried to keep it as wet on wet as I could. And the result turned out pretty good for me. And then I'll just do the little highlights here and there and then take the tape off. I hope you've enjoyed this. I encourage you to pick up a paintbrush and some paper and get painting. The more you paint, the better you'll get. I hope to see you in the next tutorial, in my next painting. Enjoy your day, and like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. Have a great day.